holds on. Did Sam Levinson have Rue reincarnate as a calf? I don't know if I missed that part of what, but let's talk about what's hopefully the series finale for Euphoria. Though divisive, sometimes disgusting and unnerving, uncomfortable, entertaining, and interesting, I think that this was a great season of television, and I think this was a great finale. And I think that everyone who was a part of this show really clocked into work and gave us some great performances and embodied these characters in such beautiful ways. And a question I have for the people who are disappointed and mentioned the tone of the show, about it being a different tonal shift from the first two seasons of the show, isn't that kind of what it's supposed to be with the big time jump that they had, and with the show being tonally from the first two seasons when these are high school kids who are living these crazy, dramatic, hyper realized, hyper versions of teenagers in America and the world, now are adults who are supposed to be functioning adults in their early 20s. I expected there to be a tonal shift, and I think that the tonal shift was felt is clear. I affirm, but I felt that it was necessary, and I think that it was done in a rather well way. While I think there were a lot of decisions and characters who fell flat or didn't feel fully realized, lived in, and fleshed out and fully cared for, like a character of Jules. While I did love her character arc and storyline personally, I can attest and agree that yes, like girl, it was a little bit empty. Like where were her lines at? Where was more than her being in his fab apartment and having a bust down and those things? In the conversation with Nate, all those different things. But overall, I loved that we got to see more of Cassie and Maddie and them being soulmates. Bitch, you're my soulmate. And we got to see that. That's the love story of the season. That's what Sam Levinson said. And I truly agree. I think that the love story between Cassie and Maddie, and unfortunately them two being each other, but seeing each other, she knows who Cassie is. She still made the decision to go and make that deal with Alamo to save her, not just because she's her cash cow, but, ooh, word to ruin the thing, but because that's her girl. And through the hurt and everything like that, her saying it to her, I don't know why I let you back into my life and these things, blah, 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 the contracts, autos, whatever. That's her girl. And then like Maddie now living in a house with her and like keeping the house, the conversation she had with Lexi. I love those things. Lexi reading the Bible and talking to Cassie about it. I found it to be so beautiful, and that was one of my favorite scenes of Lexi. And I think that it ended greatly, and I think it also showcased the generosity that Cassie has for her sister, who is a complete bold hater and negative Nancy and judgmental Judy, and she embodies Lexi Howard the coward to his full potential. And I love the conversation that they had about Rue, where one person is clearly more emotional ish in a way, because I think that they just lack the sister connection to be emotionally vulnerable with one another. While like Lexi was opening up, I just don't feel like she is a safe person to open back up with. And I think that Cassie's response reflects that in a way. And I think she gave a great example talking about how when her father left, he said, I love you, but the pain still is there. And Lexi admitting that she's been carrying the anxiety of having that type of loss again because her father was an addict and a liar and all these different things. And she had that then with Rue and their friendship and like the hurt that she feels there. I'm also personally not upset that we didn't get a funeral for Rue, because truly speaking, who would be there? Like five, seven, eight people max, because Rue's life was still like those core people, and I think that would have been rather sad to see. And like I wouldn't want to see her mom up there hooting and hollering, or what if her mom is at peace and then people are upset that her mom is more so somber, and we got to just see her sister be more, loudly emotional in response to the loss of her sister. I don't know the reasons why Sloan Reed wasn't there and all this and that, whatever, but I felt it was a beautiful send off to the character of Rue, which is another reason why I don't want the show to continue at all. Not even like a spinoff, unless it's a separate spinoff. Which honestly, I genuinely I don't want to know more. I don't want to see or hear from these characters ever again. I want their lives to just be what it was. I think they all had pretty much adequate endings to their character arcs from what we saw. People keep bringing up Angel, and it's like, girl, I don't know, like I don't know what y'all want to say. Like, girl, she had the chop shop. Like, Angel's no more. Angel had lost her wings. That was early on in the season, boo. Like, no shade. Rest in peace to her. She's with Rue now, maybe. And the painting that Jules did for her was beautiful. I was in tears. That chin shaking, the performance of Hunter Schafer for Jules and the relationship that her and Rue had, I think it was a beautiful dedication and showcasing her in a euphoric state and like painting her in a state of euphoria from what they shared together. That's how I took from that, like the background being that the bold colors of just her now not having that darkness euphoric, but a bright, more jovial euphoria situation. Not being the way she paints her as she still put up in her penthouse with her man. That's not her man, but that's her man. Because wife, no, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. Rue's death wasn't Lacey's fault. It wasn't Maddie's fault. It was her fault. And that's like an uncomfortable truth. And I think that, yes, by Alamo's influence in hand, but you know what I mean? It's just another unfortunate decision in the tragic life of Rue. And what comes to mind when I think about Rue, when I think about Angus Cloud, when I think about the homage that Stan Levinson paid, and the love, and seeing the clips of Fez and Rue together, and how they met their demises first from in real life to the character and the fentanyl of it all, and also the spiritual religious aspect of this season. It makes me think about when Mac Miller passed away and Ariana Grande said something along the lines of, "You didn't deserve the demons that you had, or you didn't deserve the demons that you were dealt." That's how I felt about Angus Cloud and how I feel about the character of Rue, because Rue ultimately wasn't a hateful person. She wasn't an evil person, but she made a lot of bad decisions. And it seems as though if you come from a religious or spiritual standpoint, I don't think she deserved the demons that she was dealt. Them demons should have been on Alamo, because the Alamo was an absolute demon. Okay, he was one of them demons, no shade. And what happened with her actually with Bishop and Maddie, it's clear that there was some type of spark there and interest there, and Bishop had already been laying eggs of him not being happy to be working with Alamo, but being complicit to things and content in a way that is still leaving him guilty. And I don't think that Maddie being the one to pull the trigger on Alamo would make sense, because now she will be on the run. Whereas now the onus and the crimes that were committed there, which clearly some crimes were committed there, will fall to Ali, aka Mr. McKenzie, Mr. Matt McKenzie or something like that, whatever his name was, fine ass name, like Como Domingo said, his more Christian birth name. Why are y'all saying Maddie should have been the one to end Alamo? That would be uncharacter-like to see Maddie pulling the trigger on a gun and killing a man, and then now have to face the possible persecution of those things, because clearly Alamo was somebody who, like, the FBI and the CIA, the DA and was on. So like now she got to deal with that and pay penance for those things, right? That's crazy. And also Rue getting her lit back on Alamo some kind of way also wouldn't make sense, because why are we then seeing Rue, who is clumsy as hell and uncoordinated, being the one to pull the trigger on somebody? That wouldn't make sense either. So overall, I hear the arguments and complaints that people have with the season, but I think when you step back and look at those things, it's like most of the stuff that happened, these characters made decisions to put themselves in these situations, and the downfalls of a lot of these characters were self-inflicted. And I don't know, I found it to be poetic, to be bleak, to be very dark, to be hopeful, to be very honest and raw. And that's something that we've always gotten from Euphoria since season 1, episode 1. And it's a tonal shift, but it's not a different shift from what the root of, or what the aura and essence of the show has always been. Because in a way, Rue could have had a much more harsh death in season 2 or at the beginning of the season, and people would have really been upset. I think that the way she went out and the way that it was handled was really poetically beautifully done. Shout out to Ali. Shout out to, what's his name, Mark? What was his name? Oh, Coleman Domingo, Carrie. Like, wow, a Carrie. I would have loved to see Rue's mother in this a lot more, but if you want my thoughts on things in specific, let me know. Let me know how y'all felt about this. Like I said, overall, I think it was a great finale, hopefully series finale. I don't, please, I beg, don't let there be more. I don't want more. This was great. Great television, very entertaining, very well done. The Americana of it all was unsettling but truthful in a way to a white man in America. I think it's a little crazy to be angered to see an American flag at the end of Euphoria series or season 3 finale, when it's like it's been American flag since the beginning of season 3, like all the way through. You know what I mean? You know, what a housekeeper was saying, America My Dream, or whatever, you know what I'm saying, while she's taking the really weird pictures for Cassie, where some of them were fab. That was her line, and that was the name of the episode. So, yeah. Rest in peace to Rue, Rotten Hill to Alamo. And shout out to Laura for going out honest. I think it's really weird that one of the Nazis, 2 of them, because she in there too, survive. Odd. Don't like that at all. Why was that some. Out of everybody survive. You know what? That's disgusting and horrible. Wayne and Faye lips. Why they get to ride off in the sunset? Sunrise, whatever. I don't like that at all. But matter of fact, I hate that, actually. Worst thing about the whole finale, the fact that Wayne and Faye got away. Horrible, disgusting. 10 out of 10. Do not recommend. Do not understand why that was happening. Like, I do understand, because I know what you are. I know who you are and what you really like. Because there's no reason why. No rhyme or reason. Shout out to Maddie and Cassie. Massey. Hope that they live a very fruitful life together and work it out and still be arguing and fighting in their 40s, but still being sisters like this. So, yeah, let me know what y'all think, how y'all feel, if you agree or disagree, all the things. Love you.